everyone, it's Hayes, and in today's video we are going to be doing the commentary / analysis on episode 10 of Miraculous Ladybug season 4, Mega Leech. However, before we carry on, just two very quick things. First of all, right now in the UK we are having a heat wave. We usually get one every year. I don't like them, but I have to shut the window to film. UK houses don't have air conditioning, we don't really have fans either. So I'm very warm already, even though I've literally just shut the window. I've got makeup on my hand, well done Hazel. But I'm very hot right now, so as the video progresses, if it looks like the makeup is physically melting off my face, it probably is. Also my hair, I've put it up in a bun to try and help, but it might get a bit frizzy and sticky outy. It's already kind of doing it already. So we're just gonna have to deal with it. Maybe I should pose for the thumbnail now before it gets any worse. Yeah, heatwave week in the UK. It's not fun. I don't like the heat. I don't do well in heat. I like winter. I love it when it's cold. Second thing though, and this is probably going to be less noticeable, but I just thought I should say it now before any of you get worried. So as you know, last week I went to 2 weddings. First wedding went fine, second wedding also went fine. Ceremony was lovely, reception was great, and before the informal reception started, we all, after the meal, went outside of the hotel to chill on the patio. And I fell over and hurt myself. I don't think you can really see it that much now, it's here on my elbow. But I hurt myself, also hurt the inside of my elbow and my hip as well. It was really embarrassing. I screamed in front of the entire wedding party and also ripped part of my bridesmaid's dress, so that was fun. I had to go and get changed after that. Yeah, it was very embarrassing. Did hurt a lot at the time, still hurts a bit now. However, please don't worry, the groom is actually a junior doctor, a trainee doctor, and all of his friends at the wedding were also junior doctors. So there were literally like 10 doctors at the wedding. So I was in pretty good hands, please don't worry. It does still hurt a bit and you probably won't be able to tell, but just in this area of my arm, it's ever so slightly swollen in comparison to this arm. Probably no one would have noticed it, but just in case someone did, I didn't want to make any of you worried. I will be fine. It just hurt a lot. I will be fine though, so please do not worry. Like seriously, do not worry. I'm autistic. I'm a bit like Marinette, I guess. Not that Marinette is autistic, I have no idea if she's autistic, but it does make me prone to accidents. I fall down the stairs quite frequently. I fall over a lot, I drop things, I trip over a lot. Part of my autism, I have like this thing with balance. I have never been able to ride a bike because of balance issues. So it's a pretty normal thing to happen to me. However, most of my injuries tend to be on my legs or my back, and you don't usually see those parts of me in a video. So yeah, 2 things to note. I've hurt myself, but I will be fine. And it's extremely hot here. So I'm sorry if I'm a bit low energy because the heat in this room is not acceptable. So with all that being said, usual disclaimer now, before I go any further in this video, I'm about to spoil the entirety of Megaleech for you. So if you haven't seen it, please check the description box for some links to go and watch it, but please note those links will eventually be taken down at some point, probably due to copyright reasons, so there will be no links that work in the description box eventually. So with all of that being said, let's get started. So if you just want to know my quick thoughts on the episode, I really liked this episode. I know it was only a filler episode. I was going into it not expecting much overarching plot. I was expecting a good plot in terms of just the episode, like a self-contained plot. I wasn't expecting anything big or overarching to happen, and it kind of did at the end. But if you want to hear me talk about the end scene with Daddy, Agreste and Adrian, wait till the end of the video. I like to do these commentaries in like chronological order of how things happen. So there was some hints to something bigger going on, which I really wasn't expecting. But I'm actually really enjoying the filler episodes this season. I really enjoyed Guilt Trip. Guilt Trip has been one of my favourite episodes, and so was Megaleech. I'm actually going to give this episode a 9 out of 10. Maybe that's too high, but I really liked it. I even enjoyed it last night when I watched it in Portuguese. Can I speak Portuguese? No. I still really enjoyed it. And I think what I enjoyed the most about it was the message that this episode gave. First of all, about the environment, with everything going on with flooding right now in Europe, which is due to global warming and government's not really doing anything about it. I really liked that message. And also secondly, about Melen with fear and anxiety. I suffer with pretty extreme anxiety myself, not that you can really tell because I'm also really good at hiding it, but I really appreciated Melen's message. And even though the purpose of this episode was obviously to like teach children first about the environment and second of all that even if you're scared you can still do whatever it is you're scared of, it helped me as well. So I'm all for an empowering message, but I really enjoyed this episode quite a lot actually. Maybe you didn't. So that being said, if you've come here to watch me maybe roast the episode, go and find someone else who maybe didn't like the episode, because I loved this episode. My biggest problem with this episode was the ears. I don't want to see the inside of their ears. That's too intimate. I don't want to see it ever again. No. No. That's the only thing I didn't like. So like I said, I really liked how Melen's anxiety was shown in the episode. Was it entirely accurate to anxiety? I don't know, maybe yes, maybe not. The thing with a lot of mental health conditions is that they do present different ways in different people. So I did kind of identify personally with how Melen presented with her anxiety and how she dealt with it. So she like touched her badges and she touched her necklace when she gets anxious. What I do when I get anxious is, so this is my phone and in the back I have a photo card of one of my favourite K-pop stars, and when I get anxious I boop his nose to help me. I know it's not actual like medication, I have anxiety medication as well, but just, you know, if I'm in a pinch and I'm in an anxious situation, I'm like, this will help me. I know it's like a placebo effect, doesn't actually work. Vernon's nose from the K-pop group 17 does absolutely nothing medical to me to help with my anxiety, but it just, you know, it helps me personally. So I personally identified with that, but I don't think it was an inaccurate depiction of anxiety, because everyone's anxiety, if you have it, it manifests in different ways. So I do think it was an accurate way to show it, and also quite a sensitive way to show it. They didn't make fun of her anxiety. But also Ivan, I do love a good Ivan ship moment, and this was the moment for them. He was so supportive of her, he wasn't trying to rush her, he was just patiently waiting for her. And then she called him Teddy. I hope when the English dub of this comes out, it stays as Teddy. Like, Ivan is like this huge guy, but he's so soft inside and he loves Melen. Like, he is literally like a teddy bear. I hope so much that stays his name in the English dub. I'm so excited to watch the English dub. I haven't really been watching the episodes as they get released in English. I generally stick to whatever language first and watch the subtitles over and over again. The only one I've seen in English I think is Gang of Secrets, and a bit of Optogami as well. But I am really excited to watch the English of this. Just the scene, I don't care about the rest of the episode. Just that first scene to see what his name is in English. And also he calls Melen Little Mouse. Step aside, Adrian and Marinette. These two. They are the cutest couple. Also, I don't really have much to say about it, but I felt like I would just be stupid to not mention all the Kwamis sleeping around Marinette's room. Simply adorable. The cuteness in this episode, spot on. I loved it. I love cute things. Hence, you know, the pink. I love cute things, okay? I loved it. Oh, everything about this episode, apart from the ears. Amazing. However, this really isn't a kids show anymore because Melen and Ivan get arrested, but Melen's face in the back, she was like, I'm not happy, I'm not having it, and something's bad gonna happen to you. She knew what was gonna happen. And then Madame Bustier. I love Madame Bustier. We've only like seen her in Guild Trip, I think, so far this season. I do love Madame Bustier with a passion. She is just... yes. Also, her eyes are amazing. I never really noticed them so much before. They look absolutely amazing. However, isn't she supposed to be pregnant? She doesn't look very pregnant, so either she's already had the baby or they've just, you know, moved past that. Because to me, the New York special at the very least was canon, because it starts with Luca and Kagami being with Marinette and Adrian, and then Marinette runs after him and she's like, no wait, I do love you. And then obviously everyone knows in the season 4 opening that Marinette is still in love with Adrian. So to me, I definitely thought the New York special was canon. Maybe the Shanghai special isn't, but I did think the New York special was. So, I don't know, maybe Madame Bustier was just lying because she didn't want to go to New York with them. That's a fair excuse, although I think I might have just said I'm ill and not pretended I was pregnant if I didn't want to fly somewhere. Just been like, no, I'm too ill to fly, or I'm scared of flying, I'm scared of heights. Not, yes, I am pregnant, everybody. Like, okay. I absolutely love as well how angry everyone gets in this episode, especially that bit with the park when the whole class arrive. They look all ready to literally tear the mayor limb from limb. They are fuming, especially Adrian. Like, when I was watching this last night without the subtitles, I didn't know what was going on. I did assume at the time that Adrian had zero idea what he was promoting, and I was right. He had no idea what he was actually doing. Speaking of how angry everyone gets, you've got to love Tom and Sabine on their way to defend their daughter, and then Tom brings his, I don't know the correct name for it, it's like the wooden thing, looks like a spade, isn't a spade. I know it's for bread, but I just don't know the name of it. He was about ready to beat up the mayor or whoever had the chainsaw at that point. They are the best parents in this show. I love Tom and Sabine. They are there for Marinette. Even though they don't know what's going on, they are still there for Marinette. They're like, oh, you're gonna beat up our daughter? You're gonna chop her in half with a chainsaw? Well, guess what? I'm coming here to hit you with my bread paddle. It's not called a bread paddle, I just made that up. But you know what I mean? They are really there for their daughter, 100%. Daddy Agrest, please learn from them. But then, the Adrianette enters into the chat and Adrian takes Marinette's hand. I know it wasn't meant to be a romantic thing, it was part of like the protest or whatever, but the size difference. I think, you know what, I'm just gonna fill the screen with a picture. Look at that. His hand, his arm is huge in comparison to hers. Like literally the size of her wrist is the size of one of his fingers. Okay, that's a bit of an exaggeration, but it's massive. Like, he could like strangle her with one hand. I don't know why I'm taking this violent all of a sudden, but you know what I mean. He is like a giant in comparison to her. He is huge and I am living for it. It is so cute. Oh my god. And then Adrian's stalker Wayhem shows up with his Adrian standee, because that's always gonna help at a protest. If I ever go to a protest again, I'm definitely gonna get a cardboard cutout of Adrian and take him with me. It's really gonna help. Also what happens where you didn't see it after that. But I just like how Wayhem just carries it around Paris on the off chance of maybe seeing Adrian, or you know, something happens and he's just there with it. Like, that's his job, to carry a standee of Adrian. Amazing job. Love it. And then we get to the ears. I'm not gonna put a picture on the screen because I don't want to look at that ever again. I don't want to see it ever again. That's the only thing putting me off from rewatching Megaleech, because of the ears. I don't want to see it again. Why? Why? And also, who decided the design inside the ears? Like, was it based off like scientific research, or they just kind of like go for it? I don't really want to think about it too much. But this really isn't a kids show anymore. I don't want to see the inside of anyone's ears ever again with a cartoon or a real person. I hated it. As soon as it came on, I was like, why are you doing this to me? Is this a personal attack? Why? So the mini maledictators start running everywhere. Did I pronounce it correctly? I'm so bad at saying it. So they start running everywhere. One gets inside Tom and he starts beating up a tree. It was amazing to see. Loved every single second of it. And we also got to see Adrian's transformation sequence. I know we're still missing Kagami's transformation sequence. Personally, I don't care because we all know how I feel about Kagami, but it still wasn't in there. I do feel like we should have seen it by now. She's had this Miraculous like 3 times now at the very least that we know of. So maybe, you know, maybe we really should have seen it by this point. But you know, we haven't, so at least we got Adrian's transformation sequence. I guess they were trying to save time. A lot happened in this episode, and we definitely at the very least needed to see Milan's transformation sequence into Polymouse. But is that her official name? Because she didn't actually say her name in this episode, so I'm not even sure. I'm just assuming it is at this point, but I don't actually know. However, can I just point out, Chat Noir was like, I need help, my lady. He sounded so desperate. And whilst in the grand scheme of the episode, I don't particularly think this means a lot. And I know this is only episode 10 and episode 17 Rocketeer was when Adrian was starting to question Ladybug. It does just kind of ever so slightly break my heart to think that maybe at some point he's going to stop calling her my lady. And then I really will cry. Not that I'm not like crying at every single episode. Didn't cry at this one, it wasn't upsetting, I just enjoyed it. But I'm not going to be ready for that when it happens. We all know I'm not ready for anything, but like he's been calling her my lady since Origins, since they got together, I'm pretty sure. As superheroes not got together romantically. My heart will not be able to handle that if he stops calling her my lady. Like, can you imagine? This thought has just come to me. Where he's like, after all this has come to a head, he just calls her Ladybug and she's kind of joking and it's just like, oh, you're not gonna call me my lady anymore? And he's like, you're not my lady anymore. And he just leaves. Why am I doing this to myself? What is wrong with me? So back to one of the scenes I loved in this episode. It was with Marinette and Mylène just before they go into the sewers, about fear and anxiety. I really like the way it was handled. Like I said, anxiety manifests differently in everyone. So if you have anxiety and you didn't identify with this portrayal, yeah, I guess portrayal is the right word, or this representation of it specifically, I think that's completely fine. But someone with anxiety, who I would argue is very similar to Mylène's anxiety, I personally identified with it and I did think it was handled really, really well in this episode. And I also really liked that when Ladybug gave Mylène the Miraculous, she at first refused it and was like, no, I can't do this, I'm not a super heroine. And I'm pretty sure everyone else in the show, when they get given a Miraculous, they've been like, yeah, I can do this. I know Zoe was a bit hesitant, but that was because of Chloe, not because she didn't want it. The only other person who didn't want the Miraculous was Marinette, which I think was a really nice parallel to have, because obviously in the Origins episode the akumatization happens partly because of Mylène's rejection. Well, not rejection full out, but because of how scared she is of Ivan's shouting. So I thought that was a nice parallel to have to show how similar the two girls are, and it was also something a bit different since when everyone else gets the Miraculous, they're like, yeah, let's do this. Whereas Mylène was like, nope, nope, I can't do it, I can't do it. I know how she feels because I would do the same thing if Miraculous Ladybug was real and Ladybug offered me a Miraculous. Except I probably run off so she couldn't actually give it me because I can't handle that much responsibility. Mylène's transformation sequence was, oh my god, so cute, with a little nose boop to get the mask on, and then we get to see like a proper shot of her hair before the hood goes up. I love it so much. I loved everything about the episode. You can bet, of course I am, I'm going to do a full video on Mylène's outfit and comparing it to Marinette's outfit using the Mouse Miraculous. I love both outfits, I love both girls, although I probably do love Marinette a bit more than Mylène, but I do both like them. But I thought this outfit really did suit her. And speaking of which, let's just quickly talk about Chat Noir and the Mouse Miraculous. I was originally thinking about doing a full video on this, but I don't have any answers. It would just be pure speculation, and I would just be asking, first of all, why didn't he notice it was a different person? We know he noticed in Queen Banana that the person using the Bee Miraculous was a different person, that it wasn't Queen Bee, he knew it was someone else. And he also noticed in Sapotes back in season 2 that Rena Rouge wasn't Volpina. And obviously Volpina wasn't using a Miraculous, that's a bit different. However, the point is, both times he noticed there was someone different. He still noticed that it was somebody different, so why didn't he notice there was something different? I understand they were pressed for time, they didn't have loads of time for Chat Noir to be like, oh, I wonder why this is happening, why it's not Marinette. But yeah, like, he should have been able to tell that it was a different person. And plus as well, on top of that, we all know how he feels about Marinette, even if he isn't aware about how he feels about Marinette, but we all know he does view it as a very good friend. He obviously cares a lot about her, so I do find it a bit odd that he didn't ask. And also, apart from Vesperia and Mylène, the rest of the heroes who we did recognise, he knows they are all the same people. So even though he knows Kagami's identity and he knows Max's identity, I don't think he knows Carapace's identity in this episode. I think he only finds that out in 17, this was episode 10. And in addition to that, I'm pretty sure Chat Noir is aware that Shadow Daddy doesn't know who was the original holder of the Mouse Miraculous. So it is a bit odd. Maybe they're just deciding not to address it, that it's just not important enough. Maybe, like I said, I was going to make a whole video on this, but I have no answers to give. Like, to me, he should have been able to tell that this Miraculous holder was not the same as the last one. And second of all, he should have questioned why and, like, you know, talk about why it was unfair, I guess, to be honest, because, well, I mean, it is unfair because Shadow Daddy doesn't know that Marinette ever held the Mouse Miraculous. Like, Chat Noir was well aware from the start who the Dragon Miraculous holder was, yet Kagami keeps being given it even though he knows who she is and Shadow Daddy knows who she is. So, like, Marinette is one of the, like, safer holders, I guess, because both Ladybug and Chat Noir know who she is. So, yeah, it is a bit weird. Like I said, I was going to make a whole video on it, but I have no answers to give you. I just have more questions. So I understand they didn't have time to address it, but it does raise a question, are they ever going to address it, or is it just like something they are just going to completely gloss over? I don't know, because I do feel like it's important, you know, but maybe don't. But maybe Thomas Astruc just doesn't see it that way. But I did kind of feel like the episode was slightly lacking for it, because I was expecting Chat Noir to say something. That's why this episode primarily isn't a 10, because he didn't say anything. And it is odd. You can't really convince me otherwise. I do think it's odd that he didn't say anything. I don't know. Let me know what you think about it, because I'm really not sure what to think. Now let's go back to Mylène using the Mouse Miraculous. I loved how the rope was used with the Lucky Charm, and it was also good to know that Adrian's actual human ears are completely useless as Chat Noir, and his actual ears, whilst he's transformed other ones on his head. That was good to know, because I needed to see the inside of his ears. Yeah, surely they should have looked like cat ears inside though. I'm thinking too much about ears now, I don't want to think about it anymore, but just a question, just a question. However, I must say everyone on the show had very, very clean ears. Lovely to see, absolutely lovely to see. I never want to see it again. Ever. Nope, I'm done. That's all the ear interior I can take. Thank you very much, Thomas Astruc. Never again. You're already psychologically traumatizing me and everyone else. We don't need this too. Thank you and good day. So now we come, of course, to the final scene of the episode. And I've heard a lot of people saying this is confirmation that Adrian is a sentient monster, despite the fact we've been told repeatedly by the people who work on the show that Adrian is not a sentient monster, and I stand with them. Stand with them? What is this, a big argument? Well, I guess it technically is. But I also agree that Adrian isn't a sentient monster. And I think the reasoning why people think he's a sentient monster is that Daddy Agreste has a bit of a go at Adrian, and he says, Adrian, go to your room, and Adrian goes to his room, and then he touches his ring, and it's like, ah, he's controlling Adrian because that's where his amok is. I don't think that's the case. The way Daddy Agreste and Adrian act around each other, we all know it's not a very loving relationship, and I am of the belief, and someone has asked me to make a video on this, but I want to do it justice and put some proper time into it, so I haven't done it yet. But I do really feel, at the very least, Adrian is being emotionally neglected, if not also being emotionally abused. So when you're in an emotionally abusive relationship, whether it's with a family member or with like a romantic partner, or even with a friend, doesn't have to be someone you love in some capacity, you often just do what they say. I speak from personal experience of being in a relationship like that myself. You just do what they say, and I feel like Daddy Agreste is understandably angry. He's probably put some money behind this. He helped shoot this commercial, you know, with Adrian in it, and then his own son has gone against him. If that was me in this situation, if I was Daddy Agreste, I would be understandably angry and I would confront my child about it. So I do understand why Daddy Agreste was angry, and Adrian was just like, look, I don't want to get into an argument with you, I will just do what you say. Adrian pretty much always obeys his dad. There have been very few times where Adrian rebels against his dad, and if you are being emotionally abused, you know when to pick your fights and to unfortunately not say anything. It's called playing dead. Sometimes it's better to just do what you're told. and not fight back because of the control that person has over you. Like if Adrian were to fight back in that moment, his dad could be like, well, I'm pulling you out of school then. Adrian's already in a lot of trouble for standing up and saying, hey, I'm not for this development. I didn't know what was going on when I helped shoot that thing. I thought it was I thought it was for perfume. So he just does what he's told because he's already in enough trouble. If he starts arguing with his dad when he gets home, Gabriel could be like, okay, well, I'm taking away your computer, I'm taking away you going to school. He could really seriously restrict Adrian's freedom. Gabriel right now is holding all the cards. The only thing he doesn't know is Adrian is Chat Noir. That is the only thing Adrian really has in his favour right now to like go against his dad, you know what I mean? So I don't think it was a Sentimonster thing. Was it suspicious with the ring? Oh yeah, absolutely. I went to bed feeling sick because of how ill it made me feel. And as we've already seen with the episode synopsis for the series finale, we know Adrian is going to stand up to his dad, so I feel with that knowledge we're gonna see more moments between Adrian and his dad, with some more friction building. About what, I'm not sure, but definitely some more friction between them to get to the point where Adrian has had enough. In an emotionally abusive relationship, it is really hard to confront the person, especially when that person is your caregiver. Gabriel, you know, he's the one feeding Adrian, probably helping him pay for school. Do you pay for school in France? I'm not sure how it works. Also housing him, things like that, giving him opportunities with fencing, with modelling, Chinese, Mandarin, sorry. You know what I mean? Like, Gabriel is in charge and Adrian is only a child. If he was an adult, this would be a bit of a different situation, but he's not. He's 14/15. That's still a child in most countries. I'm pretty sure that's still a child in France as well. So there wasn't really a lot Adrian could do. He was already in enough trouble. I don't think there's point to him being a Sentimonster. Still don't believe that. However, we do have to consider this is episode 10, episode 9. Before it, of course, episode 9 is Daddy Aggressed. I think this end scene of Megaleech is going to make a lot more sense once we see Gabriel Aggressed. But when that's coming, I don't know. I'm very, very nervous. I'm pretty sure Adrian isn't the Sentimonster. Natalie would have sensed it. I'm sure Daddy Aggressed could have sensed it now as well, since he's been using the Peacock Miraculous. Aeon would have been able to tell also, since she can see through the identities. The masks and the quantum masking mean nothing to her. Also, surely Master Fu should have been able to sense it, since he also was a Peacock Miraculous holder. I feel like if he really was, someone would have said something now. I don't really understand why they'd keep it a secret from everyone, especially Master Fu, to be honest. So yeah, I think the answer to that ring scene lies in episode 9, Daddy Aggressed. Also, again, sorry, just remembered back to the Sentimonster thing. In Sentibubbler, Shadow Daddy got pretty close to Chat Noir. He should have been able to sense he was a Sentimonster, and also Mayura has gotten pretty close to Chat Noir in Miraculous, I believe, in season 3. She should have been able to sense it as well. So yeah, I feel like if they knew he was a Sentimonster, they'd be using it to their advantage. Plus as well, there can't be that many Sentimonsters in the world. Obviously it depends what other Miraculouses are in the other miracle boxes. But surely if Natalie and Gabriel are like, well, okay, we can sense that Adrian is a Sentimonster and we can also sense that Chat Noir is a Sentimonster. So maybe they're the same person. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, I don't think it's a Sentimonster. It was definitely a suspicious scene, but I think the answer to the scene lies in the episode Daddy Aggressed. And I hope Felix will be in it, because I definitely think Felix has got something to do with it, because if we remember season 3 in the episode called Felix, he stole the other twin ring. So like I said at the start of the video, overall I would give this episode a 9 out of 10. I really loved it. I was going in expecting very little overarching plot, and I was right. I wasn't expecting the episode to end like that with the ring. Very suspicious. Does it make me feel ill? Yes. But am I really excited about it? Also, yes. So I really, really enjoyed the episode. I just did feel it was missing some commentary from Chat Noir about the Mouse Miraculous. But if he's not going to say it in this episode, I feel like they're just never going to address it in the show. It's maybe just how it is. They just sometimes don't talk about things in the show and we just have to deal with it. The best line in the episode was from Malene when she said fear is a natural reflex for someone with anxiety. It was actually quite nice to hear her say that as someone else with anxiety. Sometimes when I get really anxious I feel like I can't do something and I just don't do it. But it's just helpful to hear that, yeah, fear is something natural, and just because I am afraid of something doesn't mean I can't do it. So I know I'm 24, I'm definitely not the age demographic for this show, but just sometimes in children's shows, they just hit the nail on the head with the phrasing because they have less time to execute the message and it's not as subtle, it's more direct. And sometimes that's what you need when you have anxiety, you just need someone to tell you how it is. So thank you, Mylène. And she is also the MVP for this episode. She did amazingly both in and out of costume, with saving the environment with Ivan, or at least trying the best to save the environment. She really came through in this episode, and I think she got a nice bit of development in terms of her anxiety and fear. And I don't think her anxiety is going to go away after this, definitely not, just because you do something brave that would usually give you a lot of fear doesn't mean your anxiety is cured. I definitely don't think that's going to be the case. But this was a nice bit of development for Mylène. I really enjoyed this episode. Please let me know what you thought of this episode, especially, of course, first of all, Chat Noir and the Mouse Miraculous. Do you think he's actually going to say anything, or is the show just going to ignore it? Because I think they might just ignore it at this point, you know? It's just one of those things that they do. I don't think they're going to say anything. And second of all, we need to talk about that ending scene. And if you all let me know what your thoughts are, what your theories are, I'll screenshot them all in the comments, and maybe I'll make a little video if I get enough, collating everyone's theories together, talking about which ones are the most plausible, and maybe also add in my own theories bouncing off your ideas. I would love to know what you thought of the episode. Please let me know down below, and I'll see you all next time. Bye!